And we're live. Dylan Moran, one half of the On and Off the Field show, podcast. How do you refer to it? Podcast or show?
Award-winning podcast.
I like it.
That's how we refer to it.
Your co-host, Durf, is unavailable tonight, so I am blessed with your beautiful face. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you can only have so much beauty on one show, so you'll have to get him on his own time. You can't have both of us at the same time. It becomes too much.
I believe you have it phrased that way during your show. You're the beauty and he's the brain, if I'm correct.
I should change to that. I have right now is the looks and the brains. Beauty and brains makes more sense. Oh, shit. Now I need to go change that. Let me write that down real quick. I'll forget.
Now, the show is every Tuesday night, correct?
Every Tuesday night. It's kind of fluid right now. Well, actually, next week is Thursday, and then we're taking a break, but it's usually on Tuesdays, yeah.
Okay, starting around, 7:30?
6 p.m. EST.
6 p.m., that's right.
Yeah, we bumped it up. Life
Okay.
is crazy these days. Life is crazy.
Dude, life is crazy. Honestly, I see you and I always forget that you're a dad, right?
Oh, yeah. She just turned 10 months old.
That's crazy, man.
Little bugger.
To have a child, to do the show, and to be streaming. I mean, you don't like sleep or what?
Yeah, well, I used to do more. I used to do blog writing too, and I actually gave that up. I had to trim back. I was like, it's starting one too many things.
So when did you decide to start on and off the field? When did you meet Durf? How did you meet Durf? Let's go to the genesis of this whole thing.
Boy, oh boy. So on and off the field started, it's 2021. I want to say 3 years ago, right before the season started. So the season 2018, around August of 2018. And then I was doing it by myself for a while, and then we took I did pretty much the whole season, and then stopped the podcast for over the summer, came back the next August, and then Durf just became a frequent guest to talk about the Bills. And then we're like, you know what? If you're going to be here all the time, you might as well just be a co-host. So he actually just officially joined the show. And he's been doing that since for December 2019-ish, January.
And you both live up in Buffalo or no?
We're near Buffalo in Rochester, but yeah, we live 5 minutes apart. Yeah.
Okay.
We used to be co-workers, so that's how we really knew each other.
Was there ever a point where you guys did it from the same? You recorded from the same place?
Yeah. Oh, he used to come over here. We do it here in one place, in my place, and then COVID hit, and we just kind of, you know what? Instead of making the trip over, just stay there. It's a good setup, whatever. It's better than just being crammed in my little guest bedroom office thing I got going on here.
Now, I think we can all see that cap you're wearing. Living in Rochester, New York, how in the world did you become a Seattle Seahawks fan?
Yeah, I grew up in an Eagles household,
Good household.
Yeah, good on them, I guess.
Damn good household.
And then 2004 season hit, and it was the 2005 Super Bowl, Seahawks and Steelers, where the refs cheated the Seahawks out of a Super Bowl win. And I just that's my first real football memory outside of anything to do with Brian Dawkins, because he's my favorite NFL player of all time, Brian Dawkins.
Oh man, you are just tearing out my heartstrings right now.
Brian Dawkins, once he hit the Hall of Fame, man, that's the only time I ever teared up with someone getting in the Hall of Fame. When his name was announced, I was just like, that is. Whew. But during that Super Bowl, it's the first time I ever football really registered in my brain, because I was only 9 years old at the time. So it's the first time I watched a game and went, I'm going to root for a team. I'm going to understand them a little bit better. I'm going to follow them. And I just picked, I could have been either a Seahawks or a Steelers fan that day. My fate was splitting. It could have been either one. And I just went with the Seahawks for some reason. And here we are.
I'm trying to remember that team. Hasselbeck comes to mind. I think they had Daryl Jackson. Definitely had Sean Alexander.
Yep. Steve Hutchinson.
Yep.
Boy, oh boy. Hell if I know all.
They had a big tackle too. Jones. That's coming to mind. Something Jones. Yeah.
I'd have to get on Google. I know you named the ones that I could name, and then Hutchinson, and then I'm pretty much out.
No, they had this really fun carousel of receivers too. Jackson was really good, but they also had, I think it was Keenan Robinson was on the team for a little while. Just this fun group of guys that would come in and out. But what I most remember from that Super Bowl what you were talked about with the Seahawks getting cheated out of it was Big Ben barely crossing the end zone. If he did cross the end zone on that one play, I think that was close to the game winner, if not the game winner.
Yeah, like when the game was happening back then, I don't recall like really watching it live these days, but I just always see highlights of it. It's just one of those Super Bowls that always come back because of how poorly it was officiated. And it's just every single time the Seahawks had a big play, like anything over 20 yards, it got called back, whether it was actually for something that needed to be called or not be called. It's almost like today's NFL and how they call penalties today. They were calling it back in that Super Bowl. You know, they super ticky-tacky bullshit, and it all went against the Seahawks. I rewatch that sometimes in the highlights. I just go, man, they got Max Strong was the fullback. That's the other one.
Okay.
Bobby Ingram, wide receiver Daryl Jackson, Jerry Rice was on that team. Walter Jones, obviously. There we go.
That's right.
Yeah.
The big mountainous man.
Marcus Trufant. That's another big one. And the rest I really don't know. Grant Windstrom a little bit.
I wonder.
Yeah. Chad Brown.
Grant Windstrom does come to mind. I remember him. I think he was on the Rams and he tore someone's helmet off. And then he like
I just looked on his picture. Yeah, he kind of looks like a guy that would do that.
He threw it across the field. We got Rapid Dave coming in. Oh, great. The two Dills.
Trouble brewing over here.
And shared the hell out of the stream. Thank you, sir. I do appreciate that. And that is kind of funny. I mean, we have obviously our names, even though they're spelled differently. We can always battle over which one's spelled correctly. But both Dylan and both have watched our favorite NFL franchise appear in a Super Bowl and lose and win a Super Bowl. So it's kind of uncanny. We had the
that's Eagles. Right. The Eagles with the Patriots, right? Oh, God.
Yes, McNabb, T.O., Brian Westbrook, Dawkins.
Andy Reid.
Hey. Andy set the foundation for what we know today.
Oh, Andy's great, but just losing that Super Bowl that's just gutting.
It's really something to be that successful. I mean, to go to as many NFC Championship games as he did with McNabb and just year after year find a different way to just lose. But
yeah,
it's better than, being I mean, Rapid Dave's a Bengals fan, so we could always, I mean, his co-host is a Lions fan, so we could always be in that boat.
At least the Lions have had some fun players to watch. There's zero success with the franchise, but it's like at least you can say we got to watch Calvin Johnson. He was fun. We have to watch Barry Sanders. He was fun. Like, cool.
Now, the Super Bowl that the Seahawks actually won, I mean, talk about a vaunted defense. We could certainly pull up some names from that, but it was the Peyton Manning. I think it was his first season on the Broncos.
Yeah.
And my goodness, you would have thought. We got Alan coming in. He was a great loser. Very impressive. Yeah. I hope you're not talking about Reed or McNabb, sir. Mr. I can only name Barry Sanders in the history of the Lions franchise, aside from Calvin Johnson, and that's recency bias.
I was going to say, he could probably name Matthew Stafford, but he's not really there anymore.
Now we're getting personal. That's real nice. Nice.
Someone's feeling violent tonight. He's probably got a hangover from strikeout beer from last night, so he's probably just laying in bed with a headache right now.
Yeah, walk me through where you were on that Super Bowl winning eve, watching the Seahawks just absolutely destroy the Denver Broncos that night.
I was at my brother's apartment. I think he was living in Buffalo at the time. I don't even know, honestly. I think it was Buffalo. And we kind of were just hanging out during the day. I have no idea why I was there. I think I was just going to watch it with him, but he's not even a football fan. So I don't know why I was there to this day. I don't remember. But we're hanging out during the day. I watched it in his apartment. And he's like, all right, man, I know you're going to get excited, but, it's his apartment. You got to be, like, kind of quiet. I was like, okay, yeah, no problem. I'll do my best. That first snap goes over Peyton's head. Yeah, that went out the window real quick. I was screaming. And he's like, I just told you to shut up. Sorry, but did you see that? And it just never stopped from that point on. I mean, Cam Chancellor just absolutely killed someone. Like on the first actual drive, they completed a snap for the Broncos. Cam Chancellor had like two big hits where they're just tearing people apart. They're killing them. I mean, that defense was just one of the best in NFL history. I know there's been a lot of good ones, but that defense has to be top 5. And although it lasted just like a short time, unfortunately.
Well, I mean,
Still.
they earned themselves a bomb-ass nickname with the Legion of Boom. You had Sherman on the back end. Earl Thomas was just always roaming the middle of the field. Chancellor was a perfect counter to Thomas as the underneath enforcer. I mean, the amount of safeties after Brian Dawkins, after Cam Chancellor, who have been compared to Cam Chancellor as, that big tweener linebacker type. He definitely set the stage for a lot of safeties to come. And then I think it was Browning on the other side, who's seldom brought up when it comes to the Legion of Boom, but very good corner himself, big guy. When you think about it now, I mean, it used to be you had to have these smaller, not smaller necessarily, but these super athletic guys who could cover in man-to-man. And the Seahawks were definitely a formula for listen, you can have these big, rangy cornerbacks who just shut guys down at the line of scrimmage. And that you saw it in that Broncos game. I mean, they knew Peyton couldn't throw down the field, so they had to jam Wes Welker early, at the line of scrimmage, jam Demaryius Thomas early and often. And
that dude's going to be dead in 5 years. I can just see it coming. That poor guy.
Yeah, that was a super impressive Super Bowl. I mean, to watch them do what they did, it certainly stayed with the Broncos. I mean, the next year they had the same type of defense with Von Miller and those guys just tearing it up. So it left a mark on the Broncos to say, hey, we can't just be an offensive team. We got to build up the defense as well. Getting back to some comments here during that Super Bowl. Probably taking a dump because who cares? TJ in the house. He likes football. Pooping is great. This is already going to be an A+ show, I can tell. Brandon, just when I thought Strikeout Beer was my least favorite podcast, Dress Casual with On and Off the Field are really getting after it. Wow. You know what? They don't support us with their comments, but they support us with their actions, and that's all that matters.
I mean, it's these same people, too. I'm trying to have an interview with, some kind of guest, a really serious guest. I remember one time I had Greg Auman. He was wrote for The Athletic for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'm trying to have a real conversation here, and they're just spamming my comments with just God knows what. I'm giving them the side eye in the comment section, shut up.
Well, the thing is, they know that your guest can read the comments, and they just keep, why don't you read the comments? Cake or pie, poop this, poop that.
I turn those comments off when I have guests like that. Yeah, no. I don't give no. They don't see comments when if they're guests if one of them are on or a normal person, then I'll leave comments on and have fun with it. But when someone from The Athletic's on the show, I turn my comments off for the guests ain't seeing that.
Yes, the classic cake or pie. You're welcome for all the interaction. Yes, thank you for getting the classic 3 guys that always show up for our Strikeout Beer family in the comments. We really appreciate it. Jeez. Hey, man, by the way, saw your thumb in that photo. Murph really got a hold of you there, didn't he? That was funny.
Oh, I didn't see that picture.
At first, I was like, is that Lizzie with blue thumbnail paint on? Nope.
Oh, my God.
I'm sorry, Dylan. We won't provide good quality content for your show anymore. Go ahead and keep putting people to sleep.
Wow. Yeah. This is just how it is. I've learned to live with it, though.
You know what? That's fine because they're just jealous that you get interesting guests. I love personally that your guests I've never heard of before, and people deserve to hear of them. You don't just go after I'm going to get Adam Schefter on the show or some NFL personality. You're really trying to dig deep and get people that you're interested in and put spotlight on them. I mean, some people you've had on recently, you've had female football players. So, I mean, just go ahead and throw out some highlights of conversations you've had recently that you've really enjoyed.
Well, Adam Schefter can bite my left ass cheek. Yeah. If you want to talk about that at some point, I got the guns loaded for that. But
we're there, man. Go ahead.
My God. But, we had Lois Cook on. She was great. She played for a bunch of years in the Women's Football Alliance. And then we had, I don't want to butcher her name, Isabel. And then her last name is, I don't know.
Bjorger.
Bjorger? Is that how it's pronounced?
It looked like burger, but I'm pretty sure she said Bjorger.
Yeah. And I told her before the show, I was like, I'm just going to say your first name. When you come on, you can let people know how to pronounce it. Because I know it's not burger, and I'm not going to disrespect your name like that. So I'll let you say it. But she was great. She plays over in Sweden. She plays football. She's on her way to San Diego to play in a women's football league, tackle football
San Diego,
league.
which of course means.
Say again. Sorry.
I said San Diego, which of course means a whale's vagina.
I did not know that. Is that a real thing? Is that from a movie or something?
Yeah, that's from Anchorman.
Oh, I've only
Help me
seen that
out,
like
brother.
once. I'm sorry. I'm going to get torn apart in the comment section for that one. They're like, what do you not know what that means? No, I do like finding different guests. I scroll on Instagram and then I go on like that page where it just shows you random stuff, even people you're not following. And I just try to find like things that are going on that are different. I'm talking to a guy right now who's training to become a professional wrestler. I think he's from like somewhere like Brazil, Mexico, somewhere down there. I don't remember what he told me. I'm planning on having him on as a guest too. I just like different stuff, and whether other people don't like it or not, yeah, millennials don't know shit. There it is.
Are you finding most of these people on Instagram?
Yeah, when I first started out, people were like, "Oh, you gotta go to Twitter's where we find all of our guests." Twitter. I got some of our guests from Twitter, like a lot of the like the ESPN radio hosts from earlier in the year. A couple of them I got on Twitter, but all these other people, like I got Lois from Instagram, Isabel from Instagram, Greg Allman from Instagram, a lot of people off Instagram. I don't know why. It just seems to work well.
Well, it's kind of a subtle little thing too. I found like not everyone on Twitter has the messages set up to where I mean, I think everyone on Instagram so far that I've come across, you can message. So
yeah,
it's been fun.
It's harder to find guests when their DMs are turned off.
You know what, dude? You're absolutely right. So what about Adam Schefter really grinds your gears? I know there was that story that broke out recently. I'll let you talk about it.
Adam Schefter. I don't mind Adam. Or at least I used to not. Like, Adam broke news really fast. It all seemed pretty accurate. Everything was going well. And then the news breaks that Aaron Rodgers on 3 p.m. on draft day on Thursday, Adam Schefter breaks the news that he said he got this from league and team sources. That is what his tweet said. League and team sources said that he does not plan on being a Packer anymore. He's gone. All right. And then all this random shit breaks out over the weekend and like earlier this week. He's saying that he's calling the GM like Jerry Krause in team meetings. He's telling free agents that like, hey, if you're coming to the Packers, just plan on me not being here. All these things are coming out that no one can confirm. These are just random things. It's like every time I see these posts, like, who said it? That's all I want. Who said it? There's not like this came from this player. This came from this team. It's just there out of nowhere. And then I watch Dan Patrick damn near every day. Adam Schefter came on Dan Patrick this morning, and Dan Patrick talked him into a corner, and then he broke. Schefter broke. He said he got angry because they were like almost yelling at each other on the show. And Adam Schefter goes, well, there are no sources. I mean, this is just like over the past couple of years, things have just accumulated. And this is like what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't want to be with the Packers anymore. He broke. It's a lie. The tweet was a lie. None of this is true. It might kind of be true, but his tweet was bullshit. Aaron Rodgers never said this to anyone. Everything that's accumulated over the past week is a lie. And it all started with him lying about he had sources that Aaron Rodgers told people that he wanted to be off the team. Now there's a little bit of a side thing going on where apparently the very first thing that was said about this entire situation about Aaron Rodgers almost being traded or wanting to be traded was a radio host in, hold on to this one, Minnesota. Just hold on to that piece of information. Said that the 49ers tried calling the Packers to work out a trade deal to get Aaron Rodgers. And he said, well, the Packers just hung up the phone, didn't even listen to the trade offer. Is that true? I don't know. Why the hell would a radio host in Minnesota even have that information and no one else? And if someone's trying to start a fire to ruin the Packers organization, wouldn't you think it might be coming from a radio host in Minnesota, where the Vikings are in the same division?
Yeah, I was trying to follow that one on Twitter to get back to I mean, obviously there was a lot of smoke, so you're trying to find where the fire is, and it got down to, you can sort of sort through the comment section and see who's tagged here and there, and there was this one dude who was like, it was that radio host, and the person was tagged them, and they're like, look what you've done now, pretty much. And I mean, you're absolutely right. This is the kind of thing that even if you don't have direct sources, I mean, one of my buddies, he's a Green Bay fan. He's like, why would you wait until the draft to break this kind of story and take the attention away from these draft picks? It's like, listen, why wouldn't you wait until the draft when everyone has their eyes on the NFL, when these stories are going to get the most clicks? This is when we found out about Laramie Tunsil's gas mask. This is, this is when you find out. Yeah. I mean, Deshaun Watson, all the stuff just recently came out about him toward the draft. I mean, this is when you hold on to stuff and people are just mean and nasty, and stuff like this unfortunately gets used to move the needle on who's going to draft where, or drop the value of a guy so that you can get him, for a lower pick than you may have otherwise.
And that's what I think it was the father of J.C. Horn was complaining about, because J.C. Horn got picked by Carolina.
Yep.
And they even showed, they posted the clip on social media. J.C. Horn got selected, and Rich Eisen was on his little panel with his little buddies, and they said, cool, J.C. Horn got selected, good player, Panthers got a good player. Now let's go back to talking about Aaron Rodgers. Like, that's like, son of a bitch, because the first thing I saw was J.C. Horn's father came out and said he's upset about his son not getting any coverage. I was like, well, who cares? Like, he'll get his due. Just play good football. You'll get your coverage eventually. At first, I was like, I don't care. But when I saw the clip and realized they just said, screw J.C. Horn, let's go talk about Aaron Rodgers, then I was like, okay, I get you, and I'm mad.
Yeah.
Like, it's like what you just said. They're taking it away from the people being selected. Screw Aaron. I realize it impacts the draft, and you can take it from a perspective where it might impact the Packers draft. Don't sit there and talk about the future of Aaron Rodgers in the middle of the NFL draft. I don't care about that. Stop going into detail about the little things of why Aaron Rodgers might be upset. That's not the point of tonight.
Yeah.
Well, screw Adams, screw ESPN, NFL Network, screw them all. I'm done with them. Not really, but
especially when J.C. Horn's dad, Joe Horn, is most famous. He's obviously the ex wide receiver for the Saints, most famous for scoring that touchdown. I believe he had a cell phone hidden under the goalpost and busted it out, whipped it open.
Was that him?
Yeah, he did the celebration like that that Michael Thomas gave tribute to recently. But yeah, if
so he likes attention, then
if you like attention and you're a wide receiver, you definitely want your son to get some attention for sure.
It's coming around full circle then.
I can't blame him for that. I was very surprised that Carolina did what they did, and Denver, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Yeah, all this stuff, with these journalists. I mean, whether you're talking about politics or sports, you're always going to find some who are less. Who have less integrity than others. And a lot of people do take what Adam Schefter says, straight to the books, straight to the bank, so to speak, and say, well, if Adam heard it, then it's got to be true, and this and that. And it's just crazy this is happening with the Packers again after so many years of the Favre drama and everything that went on with that. And now it's happening to Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if it's like they're connecting those two. Like, well, if, Favre was such a story and got so much clicks and ratings, we can do the same thing with Rodgers. And it was nuts to see. I think you put out the graphic earlier that all three, Bart Starr, Brett Favre, and Aaron Rodgers, have spent exactly 16 years with the Packers. So that was quite a stat to see.
Yeah, I think it was one of the guys from Strikeout or TJ. Someone put it in my group page. But yeah, I did see that one. All of them, and Aaron is sitting at 16 right now. So that is pretty wild.
Yeah.
But I mean, I put it in my posts earlier today when I was talking about Adam. I said it on Tuesday's show. We just got done going through the whole media drama with Russell Wilson being traded out of Seattle. Guess what? He's staying in Seattle. They might not be perfectly happy, but he's staying in Seattle. I'm going to give this Aaron Rodgers crap like a couple more weeks, and then guess what? Aaron Rodgers will walk in front of a podium and say, let's get the season on with. Let's go. I can see it happening. All this is just off-season drama. It's a story that people are just, I'm not saying made up, because I know there's an issue over there, but
right.
I don't think it's big enough, because the Packers are not going to trade him. Aaron Rodgers is not going to retire from football. That I just do not see that happening. So unless he retires or there's some like 5 first-round pick, absolute insanity, they can't do that, but you know what I'm saying. Unless there's some crazy deal, I just don't see it happening.
It would be a super tough decision. I mean, on the one hand, you're so close to another Super Bowl ring. You just went to the NFC Championship game. This team is essentially the same as it was last year. I mean, you got to wait for Bakhtiari to get back from injury. But exactly, just like Alan's saying here, it would be tough to choose between not putting my body at risk anymore as the host of Jeopardy and also chasing that one more Super Bowl ring when everyone, all they talk about is can't believe he only got one. Can't believe he only got one. Such a talented quarterback. Can't believe he only got one. So as jealous as we get of these guys with all the money they make and the fame and stuff, that would just tear my brain apart trying to weigh between being the next host of Jeopardy or trying to, risk my body again for one more Super Bowl ring just because everyone says can't believe he only got one. So Aaron, I do not envy you. You're a good looking man. You're clearly a smart man. You've got a cute chick on your side, but I tell you, man, I'm glad I'm sitting here next to a box of pots and pans and not where not where you are.
That's the funny thing with Jeopardy. I know just one last point. It's another benefit of watching the Dan Patrick Show because Dan was close friends with Trebek, and he knows the inner workings of Jeopardy pretty well. Aaron Rodgers is not Trebek, but Trebek would have all of his episodes done like middle of the year for the entire year. It's not, you don't do these episodes like every day, like we see it on TV, obviously.
Right.
So people are saying, well, if he wants to host Jeopardy, he basically needs to retire. He could have all the episodes for the rest of this like NFL season done in June, July, August before the season even starts. And then, you're good to go. But, it's just the Jeopardy thing is not as big a deal. I think if people make it out to be, it's cool because we got to see him do Jeopardy. He did a good job and that could be obviously a path. But I think we're also just assuming like they're going to give him the job. That's another thing where like, welcome back to here's a source that doesn't exist. No one has given him the job yet. Like this might not even be a thing. He's going to retire and go host Jeopardy. Who gave him the job? It's not a thing yet. Like, maybe they're going to pick someone else. People are just assuming he's going to be the host of Jeopardy.
That is a very good point. Do you have any, if it wasn't Rodgers, is there anyone, have you even given a thought as to who you'd like to see host Jeopardy?
I have no idea. No. I watched the show strictly because of Trebek, and now he's gone. It'll never be the same, and whoever they pick is just not going to be as good. They can do their best, but if it's Rodgers, I might tune in it might be kind of fun, but I have no idea. I don't even know who they're auditioning, to be honest.
I know they were either one of the former champions is like high up on their list. We got Alan here saying he can't do both. If they lose, it's because he wasn't focused on football, which I don't think Alan necessarily believes that, but he knows that if they do lose some significant
it'll be
game,
in the headlines.
Exactly. That's all you're going to read from here on out.
Yeah.
It's not like Jeopardy is a Kardashian sister ruining the life of Reggie Bush or, Kanye West or anything, but, it would be written about. I'll tell you, too, getting back to Schefter, the one thing that really rubbed me the wrong way about him recently, I don't know if it was this past offseason or last year, but he had tweeted something out, and Field Yates was in the comments, and he responded, announce, so-and-so to such and such team. And Schefter's response was, announce that your wife has left you. And I was like, God dang.
What the hell?
Yeah, what kind of rivalry do we have between Schefter and Field Yates?
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it was crazy. I took a screenshot of it and everything. You got to have receipts for that sort of thing. But yeah, it was insane. I was like, who hates Field Yates? He's such a likable, quiet dude.
That's the kind of vibe I've been getting from Shefty lately, though. And not just because of what's happened today. Like I'd see him on, just doing his shows and whatnot. He has a podcast. It just seems like he's starting to inch his way towards I'm better than everyone and I can say whatever I want. He's starting to enter that realm. I don't think he ever used to be like that, or at least I'm just noticing it right now. Because I think that's why he did what he did with that tweet on draft day. Right. He probably just thought people will believe me. No one will question it. I'll just tweet it and it will be real. But then people ask him questions. This is a big deal. This is not something that you just tweet about. It's not like you're talking about like some stupid offensive lineman, like the one that got released from the Titans, like Isaiah Wilson.
Yeah.
It's not like you're talking. If you said league sources, Isaiah Wilson doesn't want to be on the Titans anymore, people are just going to believe it. Even if it wasn't true, people are just going to believe it. Aaron Rodgers, people are going to ask a lot of questions. He got backed into a corner, he cracked, and now he looks like an asshole. I don't know if I can swear on this podcast or not, but I feel like I have a couple times.
Go for it. I'm not monetized or demonetized. I'm my own man. You go for it, my friend. If we get a strike, we get a strike. So be it.
So be it.
No, I would love to. I would, don't get me wrong. I've enjoyed our conversation. I want to have you back, but wouldn't you just kill to have like a legit, old timey veteran scout on the podcast and ask them like what goes through what makes you ask certain questions at the draft? Like, why do you think, the Laramie Tunsil thing came up? Why do you think Des Bryant was asked if his mom was a prostitute? Like all these different things. I would love to pick their brain and be like, what makes these questions come about? Are you trying to get someone to crack, or just what is it?
I might write that down as someone I can find.
Yeah,
guest. That'd be a good guest to get. I mean, I'm sure those guys aren't doing anything these days.
For sure.
College football ain't started yet. This is their downtime, I think. Every year you hear about that stuff. I don't think the stories were that big this year because there was no combine. There's a couple pro days, but that's limited. But every single year where there's a combine, it just seems like someone asks someone a question. Like there was a super offensive one like 1 or 2 years ago. I thought someone asked someone if they were gay. I forgot which. I feel like that was a thing. There was one that just made new headlines because the player came out and he was like, "Did you just hear what that guy asked me?" So some of the stuff they ask people is just weird. So I would like to know. Yeah.
Listen, Alan, agree to disagree on that one because I haven't heard Kanye come out with a hit since his relationship. He was a musical genius, and now who knows? He just hangs out at his church all the time, I guess. I don't know.
I feel like, before he was a successful artist, and now the only reason you see him in the news these days is if he's just being weird.
He's an interesting dude, man. That's for sure. That's all. I'm gonna leave it there. He is an interesting dude.
That's definitely not my field of expertise. I can't say too much because I honestly I have no idea what's going on with Kim and Kanye these days. Any of them Kardashians, I have no idea.
One last thing on Jeopardy. I believe lowest score of all time belongs to Wolf Blitzer. So there's a little trivia for you. Wolf Blitzer.
Is Wolf Blitzer the CNN guy?
Yeah.
I knew that. That name sounded familiar for some reason.
Yep. Lowest score ever. Really interesting. But moving on back to the Seattle Seahawks. Let's go to, I believe it was 2012. You had Andrew Luck, number 1 overall. Robert Griffin III, number 2 overall. And then in the 3rd round, the Seahawks find a gem in the former Wisconsin/North Carolina State quarterback, Russell Wilson. Had you been following Russell, and were you excited about the pick?
Back then? God, no.
No?
No, I didn't know. I wasn't as big. Well, 2012 was when I entered the Army, so I was like, those were different days back then.
On your mind.
Yeah. But I mean, when I saw the pick, I was like, it's different. They just brought in Matt Flynn that year, who, played like 2 good games, and the Seahawks decided to pay him $1 billion for some reason. And then they had Tavares Jackson at the time. So they're bringing in this rookie. They have their starter. They have a backup. It just seemed like a weird pick to spend a 3rd round draft pick on. It's like, okay, well, let the kid come in and we'll see what happens. I mean, I wasn't gonna. My entire life is still how to this day how I treat draft picks. I'll never look at a draft pick and go, well, that's a bust. That's a stupid pick.
Right.
Let's see what the kid can do. Obviously, the team sees some potential. They gave the Russell Wilson pick a D-, and the Seahawks draft overall an F that year. And that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was not the Richard Sherman year. Was that the Bobby Wagner came in that year with Russell Wilson?
That sounds right.
And he's still there too. Hall of Fame linebacker. So, you can't take these draft analysts seriously. You just got to let it play out. And that's what I've been saying about draft grades. I've been saying this about people assuming for just this year, the Raiders took Alex Leatherwood in the 1st round when the other guy was still on the board.
Jenkins.
What Jenkins was that? Is that his name? I have no idea. There's an
Bevan?
offensive lineman that
Yeah.
was rated higher than him.
Yeah.
So everyone's just like, well, they reached on him. There was better people on the board. How do you know? You're kind of assuming. I know you have to go off of college tape and what you've seen, how it will translate to the NFL. But there's so many misses that these guys get. It's like, well, they saw something in Leatherwood. Maybe it's a reach, and maybe this guy turns out to be a 10-year All-Pro. So you never know.
That's fair. With him, I do think it was more of a. I mean, obviously, he's been I think 4-year, if not, a couple years started at Alabama. So you're doing something right if you're starting on the Alabama offensive line. I just think when he showed up at the Senior Bowl, he got embarrassed by a couple different guys, so that might have played into it as well. And it doesn't help that it was only a few short seasons ago that they took Cleveland Farrell like 4th overall.
Right.
And everyone thought he could have been taken. So I think that sort of played into it as well. People just assume that, Mayock and Gruden are going to take some wacky pick. And sure enough, they did. I shared a mock with my buddies the week before. I had the Bears taking Leatherwood at 20, so I wasn't surprised to see him go in the first round. I just, yeah, great analysis. Raiders took that one guy when the other guy was still there. Exactly. That's been the story of the Gruden-Mayock era.
I normally leave draft time up to Durf. I even said on Tuesday, it's like, man, this is your time to shine. He loves doing the little mock draft, and he knows he watches it closer than I do. I'm here for like rounds 1, maybe 2, and outside of that, it's just Seahawks. I don't know a whole lot.
He is lucky that we called off that pie to the face bet because he would have a big fat pie in his face right now with Najee Harris going to the Steelers. But, what could I say?
He got lucky.
No, Russell Wilson, going back to him, he has haunted me since he was drafted. I did follow him that season. I didn't see him as much at NC State, but that year he had at Wisconsin was awesome. This dude could scramble. He always had his eyes downfield. He had a hell of an arm, like rocket deep outs, post routes, just in that pro style Wisconsin offense, doing everything you could ask of a quarterback. I thought he looked just as good. Just as good is tough to say as Andrew Luck, but just because he was such a specimen and Russell didn't have, the size. But I would have put him.
Then that's all it was size.
Exactly.
Today's NFL, Russell Wilson's a first round draft pick, maybe top 5.
Right.
Like in today's NFL, because size doesn't matter anymore. We've seen it so many times.
No, and after that win in the Rose Bowl, I was like, this guy's legit. Like whoever gets him, and I was really hoping it was going to be Philly because I believe that was Andy's last year, and we were making the transition to Chip Kelly, if not the year after. And I was like, this guy needs to be an Eagle. And of course, I think 3rd round, so many teams pass on him, and the Seahawks finally decide to take the flyer. I'm like, this is it. With that defense and Pete Carroll, Russell's going to step right in and take it over. And sure enough, all these years later, I don't think Philadelphia has beaten him once. He just continues to be a thorn in the side of the Eagles ever since. All the fans, we're always that's if there's a few things you're going to hear on Eagles Twitter, right? It's why didn't we take DK Metcalf? Why didn't we take Justin Jefferson?
Oh, there's a lot of people saying why didn't we take DK Metcalf? To be fair, Justin Jefferson, that's on y'all. Yeah,
exactly. We got Rapid Dave says, all right, I'm back. Murph popped a boner out in front of me, shot blood all over the place. God, Lord.
What in the hell?
Looked like a GD crime scene. What is up with your bulldog, man?
That thing's not looking good these days, man. Let's take a... So, I just pulled it up here. Yeah, ever since Russell Wilson has been the quarterback for the Seahawks, they have beaten the Eagles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. The last Eagles win over the Seahawks was in 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sounds about right.
But that's the story, though, that I think that was like a big thing that came out a couple of years ago was the Eagles were looking to either trade up or they called the Seahawks in the 3rd round. They're like, hey, who are you taking? The Seahawks didn't budge. And then the Eagles were trying to trade up. No one was going to trade. And they're like, I think they were only 2 picks later than the Seahawks in that round. And I just remember that interview with Andy Reid, and they're like, when they called his name, we were just like, we knew they were going to take him, but he was so close. Like, he was only 2 picks away from being an Eagle. The only reason I really know that's because my parents are Eagles fans. They probably sent me that video.
What could have been? What could have been?
Could have been.
And actually, it's so funny.
Same amount of Super Bowls, though, still.
Same amount of Super Bowls, and it's crazy. Like, it's what could have been, but also what wouldn't have been, right? I mean, I don't think the Eagles never would have had their run with Nick Foles and Mike Vick. And then, obviously you get Foles coming back to the team all these years later, winning the Super Bowl. So it's always fun to do that sort of like what if in the NFL. I mean, I think one of the bigger ones that sticks out to me was when Drew Brees left San Diego. He was a free agent. Dante Culpepper was also a free agent. Miami was looking at both of them, decided that Brees' shoulder was too much of a risk, and they go with Culpepper. And now here they are, New Orleans winning a Super Bowl, and Miami's still looking to replace Dan Marino.
I mean, you can do that kind of stuff. That could be its own podcast. It probably is its own podcast. You could look it up. It's probably already out there, but that could easily be its own show. Just all the small because you can take the smallest thing.
Yeah.
Like just because we brought over Laramie Tunsil. And what if Laramie Tunsil never put on that mask that night? That man is turned into like 4 draft picks for the Dolphins just magically. Like, what if he was taken in the top 3? I forgot what his projected team was. I don't remember the draft order for that year, but what if he never even was a Dolphin to start with?
Exactly. I mean, Houston might still have a few picks to work with these past couple drafts, if not for
Oh, maybe. That's a bold assumption with Bill O'Brien still being there. He'd probably mess it up a different way.
I mean, the reverberations of his decisions that he made, I mean, single-handedly dismantled a pretty decent team.
Not bad, yeah. I mean, they were in the playoffs for a couple of years.
Yeah. And now, just like Chip Kelly, just year after year deciding I don't want talent on my team. It's the craziest thing. Now, with all these, thank God he didn't do that monster trade of like Fletcher Cox, this guy, that guy, a bunch of picks for Marcus Mariota, because God only knows.
Oh, was that a thing?
That was definitely a thing. He wanted his boy Mariota. Yeah, and he was ready to mortgage the future to get up to the Titans.
Wasn't he a duck? That was the whole thing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not good.
Jameis and Mariota. That's another thing that's like everyone thinks a first-round quarterback. You got to get up and get your guy and swing as you may. It doesn't always work out.
I mean, we had 5 quarterbacks taken this year in the first round.
Yep.
All of them are not going to succeed. People are trying to talk all of them up, and this guy's going to be great. This guy's going to be great. Trevor Lawrence is going to be great. Mac Jones might not be as great, but he's still going to be good. Most likely 4 out of 5 of these guys are going to be duds. That's probably the most likely situation.
For sure. I got a comment here. Thoughts on Bush, yay or nay? When it comes to Reggie Bush, I was a fan in college. Michael Bush, definitely thought he was going to work out, never did. Bush Light, not a fan. And if it's the Bush that you're probably thinking of, keep it in the comments section.
Oh, I feel so bad for Reggie Bush, though.
Dude, me too. That's still my favorite college highlight film to watch.
Reggie was just so good.
Unbelievable.
And even in the NFL, he still was, still one of my top 5 favorite hits of all time.
Yes.
Was the Eagles and Reggie Bush, man. When I saw that hit, I watched it like 50,000 times. Like, he just died right there.
What I wouldn't give to have Lito Shepherd and Sheldon Brown back on the team, man. What a duo. But let's move it up. Like you were just getting into guys from this year. Let's get into this year for sure when it comes to the draft and all things Seahawks. With all these rumors about Russell being traded, obviously, linked to a couple teams. Philadelphia supposedly wanted him. He might have been the Cowboys. He might have been with the Giants. I mean, what's going? Another thing like with Schefter, right? Just stir in the pot. Is there anything from Russell himself that you think indicates he wants out?
No. You know why? Because not one thing came from his mouth.
Right.
And then when Russell Wilson's camp came out and said some things, Russell Wilson didn't even approve the words that came out of their mouths. With the exception of his 3 teams. I don't even remember what the 3, like Bears and someone else. I don't know. It's just one of those things where you have to just look past what Shefty's putting out and what ESPN's putting out. I'm watching Russell. I'm watching Pete. I'm watching John. I'm watching the other teams. Nothing indicated from inside the organization that he was going to be traded. Not one thing. It was just, and I have to put blame on, this is This is like the first time I saw something really cool, because the other one was Adam Schefter getting blown up today. The first one was, this all started with Russell Wilson when he went on the Dan Patrick show. And I was really disappointed in Dan Patrick because he asked Russell, do you want a say in like the personnel decisions? Like, do you want to be a part of the offensive decision making, free agents to get brought in, draft picks? Do you want to say? And Russell Wilson did his normal dance around the media, like, I just, blah, blah, I just, go Hawks. It's just kind of his thing. And he said that. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That's what Russell would say. But then Dan pushed him. Dan was like, no, Russ, don't give me that crap, Russ. Like, do you want to? He pushed him. He asked him like 3 times, and Russell was just getting uncomfortable. You can see it in his face. He's like, I don't want to say anything because I know it's going to bite me in the ass. And finally, just like he did to Schefter, he put him in a corner. And Wilson cracked. Wilson was like, yeah, it'd be nice to get a say. I've been hit a lot, and it'd just be nice to maybe get a say in what the offense does and stuff like that. It was a really basic answer.
Right.
It wasn't like he was demanding anything. And the media just ran with the smallest thing, and it blew up. And that's why I never took it serious, because I watched the initial interview. I saw what Russell was saying. It was not as serious as everyone made it out to be, because ESPN is posting things like Russell Wilson demands a say in personnel. When the hell did he say that? Like, I watched him not say that. Okay. I just can't with these people, man. So.
I mean, you get to a certain level as a quarterback. I mean, just like with LeBron, why wouldn't you let LeBron call the plays when he's as great as he is? Why wouldn't you let LeBron have some say into who he wants to bring onto the court as the big man underneath, as the shooter on the wing? Clearly, this guy knows what he's doing at the highest possible level. Why wouldn't you give Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers a little bit of say in how they want to run the offense? I mean, they are literally the engine that gets it going. They're not some Trent Dilfer, who just happens to be on a great team. If you want to say that about Dak, I'm not going to, push that. But when you get to a certain level as a quarterback, absolutely, you should have a little bit of say in who you're throwing the ball to and who is protecting you up front. It only makes sense to me.
And I think the issue with that comes in with Pete Carroll still being the head coach. And this is what I said back when all this was happening. I said, if anything does transpire out of any of this, it's John Schneider needs to fire Pete Carroll and get him out of the building and replace Pete Carroll before you don't get rid of Russell Wilson. He might not be in his prime anymore. He might be just barely on the downhill slide. We're not sure yet. This season will be a lot. This will be a big season to see where Russell Wilson is still.
True.
But Pete Carroll, he just wants his way, man. He's been a coach for 50 years. I don't even know how long at this point. The dude's been doing it for so long. He has a way of doing things, and he doesn't want to deviate. And that's why we've been losing playoff games, or the Seahawks been losing playoff games. I don't want to be that guy. We've been losing playoff games.
I know, yeah.
It slips out sometimes. It's why it's when the Seahawks went and played Dallas. Is the first time it really stuck with me. They played Dallas in the playoffs in the first round, and Pete Carroll just kept running the ball into the strongest part of that Dallas defense, right into the defensive line, straight up the middle. And every time, in the very few times Russell got to throw the ball, he's throwing 50-yard dimes to Tyler Lockett. He's tearing up the secondary because their secondary sucked.
Yeah.
And by the time Pete was like, hey, we should throw the ball, it was too late. We already had like a 20-point deficit, and, it was over then. So that's the first time it's really stuck with me, and that's just what he's been doing for the past 4 or 5 years.
It's tough. I mean, there's always going to be something to say. It almost feels like damned if you do, damned if you don't. I mean, we've had a little back and forth about the linemen that they've brought onto the team. I think you made some great points for sure. I don't think they've completely overlooked the position, but certainly, you could invest more if you want to protect a guy like Russell Wilson. At the same time, you see all these stats, how he's one of the most sacked quarterback of like all time. So it's like, okay, we're going to help him with the run game. Well, why won't you let Russ cook? Let Russ cook was the whole thing we heard last season. So in that sense, I do think it's kind of like, you're screwed either way. I mean, you did have Marshawn Lynch on the 1-yard line, and you choose to get cute and throw a slant route and it gets picked off. So, I mean, that's something that's always going to be remembered. But it does feel like, I'm trying to protect Russ by running the ball, and now I'm not letting Russ cook. So in that sense, I do sort of feel bad for whomever is calling the plays, whether it's Carroll or the offensive coordinator. But it just sucks. You're always gonna hindsight's 2020 in those situations.
Yeah, I could sit here and try and defend that play. It's so hard to defend that play.
Yeah,
but I really want to defend it right now. It wasn't a bad play call. It was just executed poorly, and Malcolm Butler made the play of a lifetime.
Yeah,
it was a good play call. If Malcolm Butler doesn't jump that route as fast as he did, it's a touchdown. So moving on. Anyways,
yeah.
But what were we talking about now?
The one thing I heard with Russ recently that actually makes a lot of sense. If he was to move on, or if they were to move on from him, let's just say, and Russ is not a Seahawk next year, it would make sense to me with the Giants having 2 first-round picks to make a move for Russ. And because I believe he has a no-trade clause, so he kind of gets to decide where he goes.
Yeah.
I think what I heard, which makes a lot of sense, is New York would probably be the best city to go to, not just because they have a talented roster around him, but also it would help his wife's career, right? I mean, as an entertainer, with the things that she does, it would help to be in the Big Apple. So I could see that being sort of a driving factor, not just him playing football, but also supporting his family by bringing his wife to New York City, instead of Seattle. So that does make sense. I would hate to see it in the division for sure, but it certainly makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's like I just said a second ago, is like next season will be a big tell.
Yeah, for sure.
If he has a down year and the situation that kind of arose this past year and they decide, you're kind of being a little bit of a pain in the ass, bringing some media attention, your camp kind of sucks. You had an off year this year. Sure, let's go get the first picks, and next year will be a similar kind of QB draft class that we had to this year. I already looked at the QBs for next year because I'm an asshole like that. But there's a good draft class next year of QBs as well. Not like Trevor Lawrence quality, but it'd be a good year to grab some first rounders if they wanted to do that. Next year would be the year to do it.
Yeah, let's get some more Seahawks stuff. We'll knock it out, and then we'll get to the rest of the NFL when it comes to the draft. What did they trade? Why did they only have 3 picks this year?
Jamal Adams was a big reason for it.
Okay, that's right.
And then Gabe Jackson was a 5th rounder, and that was the 1st rounder, the 5th rounder. I don't know where their 3rd rounder went. That might have been Jamal Adams too. Who knows? Yeah, they did a lot. They just brought in a lot this year. Excuse me. They brought in a lot of free agents, and they did a lot of trades for players. Carlos Dunlap last year might have had something to do with it at some point, because when he got traded from over to the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the same boat as just everyone else. Like, why do they have 3 picks? What's their line of thinking? And then finally, it was either Thursday or Friday night after the draft, Pete Carroll and John Schneider were behind the podium, and they finally let everyone know what they were thinking. The reason they decided screw this year's draft picks and just go and get, actual NFL players it was just a weird year.
Yeah.
A lot of players didn't play. If they did play, it was under odd circumstances. There was no combine, limited pro days. Like, you have limited information. So instead of trying to draft like 7 people, 1 in every round, let's say, let's just get people that are proven on the field, and we'll get a couple of guys. 3, they bring in 3 dudes. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about that later, but I thought their strategy was smart after he gave me some reasoning. I was like, yeah, it tracks with me. I'm good with it.
Now, they brought their first selection was Dwayne Eskridge, wide receiver out of Western Michigan. Second selection was Trey Brown, cornerback out of Oklahoma. Third and final selection was Stone Forsyth or Forsyth. I think it's Forsyth, but I could be okay. Out of offensive tackle out of Florida. I like Forsyth. I'm gonna say it both ways now. I like Forsyth.
We'll know who you're talking about.
Quite a bit. I mean, he's a big dude. I believe he has NFL bloodlines. He's somewhere along the line, if not his dad, somewhere related to another NFL player. How do you feel about the picks?
I don't watch day 3.
Yeah,
I just don't. Whoever does has an issue. I don't know if do you? I mean, it takes a lot of willpower to sit there for those rounds and just have players named off that you don't know. But when they picked Stone, that's a name I knew.
Yeah,
mainly because I like following the Gators. I just think they're an interesting team down there, especially with the revival. Well, they're going to suck this coming year. They lost all their players now. I liked him. He was really good. His name came up in drafts a lot. And then when their 6th round pick came up and they called Forsythe, I was like, wait a minute. It's the 6th round. How the hell is he still on the board?
I feel the same way.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because the reason he dropped was like, well, he's not very strong in the run game. It's a pass first NFL. Who cares if the guy can't? He'll learn how to sort of run block.
Right.
If he's not strong in it, teach him. He's excellent in pass protection. That's what he thrived with because, Florida was an electric passing offense, and he even admitted it. He admitted it himself. He said it himself. I could use work in the run game because that's not what we did in college.
Right.
Pete Carroll will be able to teach, and that coaching staff will teach him fine. They love running the ball. They know how to teach him. It'll be great. And now he gets to learn from Dwayne Brown on the other side too. Oh my God. I'm thrilled. I think this kid can really become like an anchor on this line. I think he'll be one of those guys that if brought up properly with the training with Brown and Pete Carroll's staff, that could be on that line for like 10 years.
And I'm not going to claim to be any sort of offensive line expert, but just, from the limited playing I did back in high school and from what I've, learned just watching the game, it seems like it is easier to get in the weight room, an NFL strength weight room, and do the drills that it takes to become a better run blocker than it is to ask a guy like an Alex Leatherwood to all of a sudden become athletic and light on your feet. And that kick slide, they make it look a lot easier than it is to get out of your stance, backwards as a 6'6", 300+ pound man to kick slide backwards and block a guy who's just as big and probably faster than you coming around the edge. I think learning pass protection and becoming a good pass blocker is a lot harder than becoming a good run blocker, like you were just saying. So, yeah, I think he has the building blocks you need to become a really good. Again, I'm just very surprised, like you were, that he lasted as long as he did. And I almost like it better than the rest of the picks they had. I like Norwood for sure. I think he's got a nasty little streak to him. But, Eskridge we'll see for sure. I was confused when they already have 2 really good receivers. But, if they do think they're going to move on from Lockett, it makes sense. But honestly, Forsythe was probably my favorite pick.
Yeah, I think he's my favorite pick too. And I think people are what's that phrase? The people are capping is the slang term when they talk about like, oh yeah, Dwayne Eskridge, like that's a guy that we were really excited about. Like, well, let's not sit here and pretend like Dwayne Eskridge from Western Michigan was. I didn't. And I'm watching his tape, and this guy's electric. He's very fast. He'll be a great wide receiver 3. People are like, did the Seahawks just get their Tyreek Hill? Stop. All right. They're not going to pump the brakes a little bit here. The dude has to get on the field first before we're going to start calling him anything. He's very fast, and it makes a lot of sense after the Seahawks brought in. I just said his name on Tuesday. They had their new offensive coordinator from the Rams. Wow, that sucks. Oh, well, that guy. Well, the Rams ran a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of backfield motion, a lot of crossing patterns where you need speed. So the fact that they brought in Eskridge where that's his specialty, it makes a lot of sense. And you can see where this offense is going. They're going to kind of try and copy the Rams and the Chiefs and with these jet sweeps and a lot of motion. I hope that's what they do. The Trey Brown pick, I don't know. I'm not really getting too excited about the Trey Brown pick. We definitely needed a corner. I'm glad they at least brought one in.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a 100% wait and see situation. He's a 5th round draft pick, I think. It was either 4th or 5th. Anyone drafted in 4th or 5th round, you're just sitting and waiting. So
it was a bummer to see Griffin go. I really like the storyline of him and his brother on the same team. And that was a lot of fun,
though. He was bad at football.
You're talking about Shaquille, right? Not Shaquem.
They're both not that
corner,
great.
right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Shaquille. I am referring to Shaquille, and for what he was going to be making in free agency, the Seahawks knew they weren't going to give him that much money. He didn't deserve that much money. Jacksonville was sitting on like 90% of their cap space. Go ahead and pay him if you want. That's fine. Knock yourself out. He's not going to be that great. Shaquem did good in his very limited action that he had.
Yeah,
They didn't put him on the field a whole lot. It was just for very specific passing situations because that was a specialty was he'll take his club hand and kind of just do like a swim move and get around. He was blazing fast around the corner, and he usually could get to the quarterback pretty fast. But like I said, very specific situations where it's like 3rd and 15, or it was gonna be like a Hail Mary that you only saw him on the field for 10 snaps at the most.
true. We got Jay in the house. Thanks for showing up, man. Adam Schefter's references on Aaron Rodgers, that guy. But yeah, Shaquem was a lot of fun to watch in college, and like you said, he did the same sort of thing in the pros. Limited to a passing down roll, a little bit of special teams here and there. I will always remember him for a play in Madden, of all things, to remember a guy for. I had him as a linebacker on an ultimate team I was using. Went over the middle of the field and caught an interception with it was so funny, like that. Yeah, the way that Madden works. I mean, they didn't have the graphics good enough to where the nub was actually touching the ball, so there was just his left hand and then like a space between the club and the ball.
So that was one-handed then, right?
It was one-handed.
Every catch is one-handed with him.
Poor guy. I'm not poor guy. Obviously, great story, and he's a tough football player. I shouldn't say poor guy.
That's what I told everybody close to me. I said when we drafted him, it's like I will die happy the next day after he catches an interception in the NFL. That would just be amazing. Never happened, at least not yet.
And with Eskridge, I'm not one of these guys who is like, oh, every Ohio State quarterback has sucked, so Fields is going to suck. I mean, I don't think that just because a guy plays a position at a school that they're going to be just like every other guy at a position from that school. But surprisingly, Western Michigan has churned out some receivers when you think about Greg Jennings, Brandon Marshall, Corey Davis, and now Dwayne Eskridge. I mean, it is pretty impressive what they've done at the receiver spot. Kind of like Memphis's recent streak with running backs. I mean, it's just interesting who comes from where. But I think it'll be – I mean, I'm not sure about Lockett's contract situation. Do you happen to know? Like, is this his last year or something like that?
I think they just extended him last year.
Okay.
Or earlier this offseason. I think it was last year they extended him. So he's around for a while still. He's not in any danger of going anywhere anytime soon, I don't think. So yeah, that extra Eskridge is definitely here to be the wide receiver 3. He'll be on the field a lot because Seattle loves their 3 wide receivers out. That's just what they do. Even if they're running the ball, they would rather have the 3 wide receivers instead of bringing in a tight end to block for some godforsaken reason. That's just kind of how they roll. Maybe it changes with the new OC. I don't know. I feel like we're going to get a very different offense this year. Finally, I can only hope, but that's just kind of how they roll. So I think he'll be on the field a lot.
Well, and they'd probably like to not risk Lockett's health all the time by having him do like punt returns, kick returns, everything under the sun. So having Eskridge out there would be nice. I don't believe Rashad Penny's with the team anymore, correct?
They just denied his 5th-year option, so he will be on the team this year, but he has to finish out his 4th year, but he's not going to be here moving forward.
Gotcha.
Thank God. That was just it. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings with a bunch of friends when they picked Penny, and I was because they traded back in that first round like they normally do. They either trade out or at least back in the first round when they have a pick. And their pick finally came up, and no one in the bar cares because it's the Seahawks. But they picked Penny, and I just started screaming, hooting, and hollering, "Oh my God, that's a great pick! Let's go!" And then I calmed down, sit back down the table. Everyone's like, "So who is he?" Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea who that guy is. But he's a first-round pick, apparently.
Heck yeah. Now, it's funny because I always say now when I transition. I got to be better at like transitioning without saying now. But anyways, that's my own little cross to bear. With the rest of the division, almost as confusing to me. I mean, maybe not. I think Arizona and San Fran had pretty decent drafts, but I have no idea what the hell the Rams are doing. I mean, they picked Tutu Atwell as their first selection, and they go on to pick like 2 more receivers when you already have Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Van Jefferson pretty much locked in. So, yeah, I don't know what the heck the Rams are doing. Do you feel like they had – I mean, obviously it's hard to judge the Seahawks with just 3 picks. I would personally say the Rams had the worst draft in the division. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, with the Seahawks only having 3 picks, they at least address 3 needs. Yeah. They got an offensive lineman, a tackle specifically. They got a corner, and they got a wide receiver 3. It's / punt return and kick return, which will be great. So I think they had one of the better drafts. the Rams, they don't know what they're doing in general. I just don't think the Rams have lost all direction at this point. Like they had a compass when Sean McVay first got there. They're like, all right, Jared Goff's going to take us this way. This is the offense we're going to run. It's going to be beautiful. And then things fell apart once Todd Gurley got hurt and his knee gave out, and then they didn't have a run game anymore. Jared Goff started struggling, and that compass just started doing like what it would do in Pirates of the Caribbean, the Jack Sparrow one. It just starts spinning in fucking circles. And they're like, oh, God, what do we do now? All right, just trade for this guy. Give him 4 first-round picks for him. That'd be great. Oh, yeah, let's do that. They don't know what's going on over there. The Rams will be the Rams of, before Jared Goff. They're going to be like 4-13 now. They're going to be bad. Put it Jeff Fisher day. So they're going to be 8-9. There we go.
I do respect that they shoot their shot. I mean, when they want a guy like Jalen Ramsey, when they want a guy like Matt Stafford, they go get him. But it certainly has cost them draft picks, and it hasn't really. I mean, the one Super Bowl appearance. And maybe that's why they were so desperate to get after Matt Stafford, because Jared Goff just looked absolutely, there's so many words, ineffective, pathetic, over his head, overwhelmed. I mean, in that Super Bowl game, it was just really something to watch, to see the dynamic team that they were all year long, thanks to Todd Gurley. And then when the Patriots shut him down, just the way that Jared Goff could not get anything going was sad to see. So hopefully Matt Stafford is a little bit of a turn in the tides for them. But going back to their draft class, Tutu Atwell, very small guy. I mean, people want to talk about Devonta Smith being a small guy. Atwell is like the same weight and a couple inches shorter. Dynamic guy, but again, I don't know where he fits into the offense when you have Kupp, Woods, and presumably Van Jefferson. Ernest Jones, linebacker out of South Carolina in the 3rd round, a little bit of a slower guy. Bobby Brown, Whitney Houston's ex, they took in round 4. D tackle out of Texas A&M. Robert Rochelle, I do think could be something good as
that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a late round steal.
Didn't do a lot of looking at Jacob Harris, wide receiver out of UCF. Ernest Brown out of Northwestern, don't know a lot about him. Jake Funk is a fun little guy to watch, running back for Maryland, but I don't see him becoming anything outside of special teams. Another wide receiver out of Notre Dame, and then an edge to finish the class. So just really an uninspiring draft class, if you ask me. I think they had the worst of them all. Was there anything that were you like, oh shit, when they traded for Stafford, or do you think that's not going to help them in the end?
I think they just have so many other holes. And the number one, you can say everything you want about the Seahawks offensive line. At least, like you mentioned it at one point, was at least they're trying. They bring in at least one free agent every year. They might draft one guy. They're normally misses, but at least they're like plugging in somewhere. They're trying their best. The Rams had one of the worst offensive lines 2 years ago, and then made 0 changes.
True. I mean, no one I just listed was on the offensive line.
I mean, like, how do you just have your running game struggled because there's no offensive line? Jared Goff got smacked around like a rag doll. And you go into the next season, you go into the offseason, you're like, all right, let's just start marking things off. Who do we need on the O-line? Now we're good. Okay, check that off. We're good to go. No offensive lineman. I don't understand that concept. Not one change. Didn't even shift people around. Nothing. Just there they are. Perfect. Like 30th ranked offensive line. Let's do it again.
Well, and it would be one thing if you had a guy like a Russell Wilson back there who can scramble and sort of take the pressure off of the line, but you got Matt Stafford, who's not necessarily known for his scrambling ability, and that offense is a lot like the 49ers offense in that it's predicated on play action, bootleg, establish the run, and then you can run, some sort of play action off of it. I mean, if teams don't respect you in the run game like they didn't in the Super Bowl, you're not going to get anything going in the pass game, no matter who your quarterback is. So it's going to be a tough sledding for them, I think. I think Stafford's going to, give this team a few more wins than they had last year. But you're right. I think offensive line is a huge hole for them that they didn't really address. And moving over to the Cardinals, Hassan Reddick a few years ago, Isaiah Simmons last year, and now another linebacker in the first round was Zaven Collins.
They just love those linebackers.
Could definitely help the team, but it's not where I would have gone in the first round. Probably would have gone with a DB. But, hey, I'm not calling the shots over there. Rondell Moore, an exciting receiver in the second round for them. Marco Wilson, I do think, is an underrated DB out of Florida. I think he's the brother of Quincy Wilson from a few years ago out of Florida. Victor Dimukeji out of Duke. I think I got that right. An edge rusher who I did kind of like. Tay Gowan. I mean, they made up for it a little bit with the later picks in the DBs because I do like Marco Wilson. I do like Tay Gowan out of UCF. Wiggins is a tough guy. He kind of reminds me of Bob Sanders light. You know, he's just a missile who's going to hit you hard, but he's been injured quite a bit out of Cincinnati. And then they wrap it up with Michael, either Manet or Manette. I don't know if it's French, center from Penn State, who I do like. So of the other teams in the division, I think they had one of the better drafts. And then, I mean, how do you view Arizona this year? Any type of threat, or do you think they still have the same type of problems with offensive line and things like that?
Yeah, offensive line is, again, it just seems like an NFC West thing. I don't know why, but that'll definitely be a problem again. And they didn't really address the running back. I realize they like some of their running backs. Kenyon's still there, I believe, and then they got their other Chase Edmonds is still there, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, actually, Kenyon's in Vegas now, so they
did get rid of him. Okay, yeah, I knew they got rid of someone. I just forgot who it was.
I believe it's gonna. They're crossing their fingers that James Conner is going to stay healthy.
Conner, that's right.
Yeah, between him and Chase Edmonds.
I'm not too worried about the running back. Like they're both like the same exact prototype running back. They're like kind of short, they're boulders, and they're just gonna like run straight and try to hit you. I mean, yeah. Kyler Murray's good. D-Hop, it just never seemed like Kyler was on the same page as D-Hop, so I'm sure that'll change this year. I think they addressed the corner need, like you said. They got a couple. They had a lot of depth there through the draft. I don't know where they're going to land. Last year, I called the Rams the Enigma team because the Rams can kind of they're either going to be good or bad. We've seen both sides. Let's see what happens this year. I'm giving that role to the Cardinals this year. I don't know, because it could be another year like this year. You know, they started hot, but then fell off. Things fell apart. They can't finish a season.
Right.
Because I don't see Kyler as much of a leader. So, you know, with experience, that might come and they can make it through a full schedule. But they could also, you know, they could make it through the full schedule and do very good, or they could flounder halfway through again. I'm giving the Rams the worst team in the division prize this year. And then we'll hit the 49ers in a minute. But yeah, so it'll be interesting. I don't really have a landing spot for them yet.
I'm pretty surprised that they didn't go with the running back. Najee Harris, I believe, was there when they picked, and they just decided not to go with one. So like I said, they must be pretty confident in James Conner's medicals, because they've always used Chase Edmonds as more of like a passing down back. So I don't think he's necessarily a guy. I mean, Kenyon Drake got a lot of, I think he had, 900 plus rushing yards and something like 200 attempts on the ground. I don't think you can just hand that over to Chase Edmonds and a guy in James Conner who hasn't been healthy. So the run game will be interesting to watch. From what I understand, just from listening to the fantasy footballers who are big Cardinals fans, I believe Arizona was one of the worst teams in the red zone last year, which, I mean, when you have a scrambler like Kyler, you have a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It seems like Cliff needs to drop some new plays to get Hopkins open in the end zone. They did bring in A.J. Green, which at this point in his career, I'm not sure if that means anything.
I almost forgot that he was on the team, but then I got reminded the other day when I was like, well, after they got Rondale Moore, it's like, okay, well, D-Hop hit, and I was like, oh, that's right, they have A.J. Green. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, like you said, I have no idea what to expect out of them. I can't give them, any more wins. I also can't say they're going to be worse. They just might be about the same as they were, one of those middling. And we have 17 games now, so it's not going to be 8-8, but something like 9-8 or 8-9, something like that. I just can't see them making the leap. Like you said, I don't know what to make of Kyler. I think he's a super uber talented quarterback, but you made the point. I'm just not sure when the chips are down, kind of like a Cam Newton type of thing. When the chips are down and things aren't going well, does he just make more mistakes, or does he rile up everyone and have the team rally around him? So we'll find out for sure what Arizona has in store. And then Jay, we're definitely going to get to the Cowboys, so don't you worry. That they'll be toward the end. But right now we got to go over the 49ers. Rena, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in, my friend. Check out the Better Call Daddy podcast for sure. 49ers, I give them props. We had all this smoke and mirrors about Mac Jones going to them at 3. Kyle Shanahan shows up at the pro day and watches Mac Jones throw and all that sort of stuff. I wasn't going to call my shot either way. I thought it was interesting that of all the quarterbacks, he chose to go to Mac Jones's pro day for sure. You would think of the guys who are important shot callers for that team who would want to see a quarterback work out, Kyle Shanahan would go to somewhere he really had an eye for the guy. My buddy made a good point to me that I think Shanahan was linked to Fields all the way back to like his high school days. So it made sense that if you already know what Fields can offer you, I guess you wouldn't need to go to his pro day. But just the thing that still confuses me is I'm not sure the Jets ever gave an indication that they weren't going to go with Zach Wilson. So if the Niners were afraid that if they tipped their hand too much toward Fields or Lance, that maybe the Jets would change their mind, I just never got that idea, and I never heard anyone say that. Like, from what I understand, the Jets were almost locked in on Wilson since his pro day. So I'm not sure why they had the smoke and mirrors, but I mean, I was also surprised by Trey Lance. I thought for sure they were going to go with Fields, but they go with Trey Lance, and I'm interested to get your opinion on, if you think he's going to be a year one impact guy, if you think Garoppolo is going to start most of the games. I mean, how do you feel about that pick?
I mean, I'm kind of glad they picked Trey Lance, because everyone's favorite term, which I agree with Trey Lance, is talented kid with a high ceiling. Okay, so that basically means you're hoping that he develops into what you need him to be. When you draft Mac Jones, I mean,
it's for sure he can throw the ball down the field, and D-Hop can go up and get it. That's for sure, no doubt.
But how many other times did we see that? I think you can link a lot more misses on those deep passes of D-Hop than catches. That's a great play, but
I just love to watch him run because he runs like Speedy Gonzalez. Like, he's got those short little legs. But
he's got the arms like really low too. He looks like a toddler running, like he just stole something that he shouldn't have. He's got like something in his mouth. Come here, spit that out. That's what he looks like.
That's hilarious.
I'm interested by it. It's just every single year there's a kid that gets thrown into the draft class just because.
Yep.
It's like we don't know a whole lot about this kid, but his ceiling is super high. And almost every time we hear that's how a QB is described, it almost never turns out well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's unless he develops into something like a miracle, it's just going to be another flop. He'll be super athletic, but maybe he just can't hit those passes at NFL speed. People are bigger in the NFL. People are faster. When you're playing virtually like high school kids over at freaking North Dakota State or whatever, things are different. Yeah. And that's what happened to Carson Wentz. He just thought, I bowled over kids in North Dakota State territory. I'm going to bowl over these NFL kids.
I don't necessarily. I think he just had too much heart, and I know that sounds ridiculous to say, but I think he laid it all out on the line. He held the ball too long, waiting for a big play. He dove into the end zone, which exposed his legs, and he got injured. So I understand what you're saying. Like, you do play at a level of competition in North Dakota State that is lesser than a Power 5. But I honestly think Carson just played a lot of hero ball, and it bit him in the butt in the end. And you mentioned a prospect who, we build up as if they hit their ceiling. And it's true that a lot of times it doesn't work out. And I would say one of the better examples of it working out was with Josh Allen this past season. Mm-hmm. I mean, first year, you saw what he could do with his legs, but he was pretty inaccurate. And this past season, I mean, holy cow, like on the money, laser passes. Stephon Diggs was certainly huge in helping him out. But Josh Allen is a good example of probably why these teams are going to continue to take these guys who have a high ceiling, and even if they're from a lesser quote unquote program. And Jay says he's not buying the Lance hype, not enough tape, which is a good point. I mean, same thing with Trubisky. I mean, he really only had 13 games started, and we'll see if he works out more like a Trubisky or, more like a Josh Allen. Like you said, Trubisky, Daniel Jones for sure.
Those are the two examples I was going to go to as well. He beat me to them.
To be fair, again, COVID, right, did cut their season short, and it didn't help that his last game played wasn't that spectacular. But I think you're right. I mean, definitely a ceiling to hit. Now, going back to the Jimmy Garoppolo thing, I mean, how committed do you think the Niners are to him? Because I think my opinion is that if you take Lance, a guy who has a ceiling, then you're willing to let him sit a year behind Garoppolo, and I don't know if you share that opinion or not.
I do. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think we're past the point where if they did trade him, it's pretty much not going to be worth it, because what are you going to do? Trade him for another QB and maybe a pick swap? Because it's not like you're going to get a lot for Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. All right. Like, after the season that just went down, a lot of you can blame on injury. That's not the point. He still had a down year. People are you're not going to be able to trade Jimmy Garoppolo for Aaron Rodgers and then just like 2 first-round picks. That's not going to happen. That's not the worth of Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, he's going to be the guy that you could swap with. I don't know, Mitchell Trubisky over Buffalo and take Mitchell Trubisky. If you, that's the kind of quality we're talking about right now, or at least that's how at least the 49ers are probably viewing him. It goes all the way back to when Brady was getting shopped around,
Yeah.
Like the 49ers just got Garoppolo, we're looking good over here. Super Bowl appearance, things are looking really great. Oh, did you say Tom Brady was being shopped around? Ooh, hey, Tom, you want to come over here? They have not been committed to Jimmy G at all. Like virtually the entire time he's been there. It's just the subtle things, and it's not like Adam Schefter subtle. It's like real things that are said in public subtle. They go after Tom Brady and they're inquiring about Deshaun Watson. They're doing these things of just like, how the hell can we get this guy out of here?
Right.
But now they have Trey Lance. They're going to tell Jimmy, do your thing, be a mentor, do your best, and then see you later next year. Have fun. We're going to move on from you. That's how it'll play out. That's almost a guaranteed instance.
And it's not good when there's not really a noticeable difference between you, CJ Beathard, and Nick Mullins.
It's like the same 3 people just rotating in and out. Yeah.
It's not like when Jimmy wasn't in, you're like, oh, damn, wish we had Jimmy, because, it's just such a huge drop off. But I was
kind of more happy when Mullins was in there. Mullins wasn't bad. I got kind of scared when he entered the game sometimes.
Right.
Like, this kid can light it up.
Exactly. And I do like what they did the rest of the draft. Aaron Banks is a guy, I think he's got a nasty streak, guard out of Notre Dame. He'll help the team. Big, Trey Sermon is someone who came on for Ohio State big time in the playoffs last year. I think he could be another dangerous running back in this scheme. Ambry Thomas, cornerback out of Michigan. I don't really have much of an opinion of him. Jalen Moore is a guy I think is interesting, also out of Western Michigan, but he's an offensive tackle. I think he's got like that swing versatility where he can go left or right. Lenore, DB out of Oregon, I do like him. This is a guy, this is going to be big if he works out. Hufanga, the safety out of USC, if he can stay healthy, this guy's a missile. And I'm not going to say Polamalu because nobody's Polamalu, but just that same type of like reckless abandon for your own body and just laying into guys. And then Eli Mitchell, another running back who I kind of like out of Louisiana Lafayette. But I do think it's a decent little class there. And if there was going to be a team competing with the Seahawks, between those 1 and 2 spots in the division, I think the Niners are going to be it. If Debo's healthy, you've got Ayuk, you've got Kittle. So definitely a dangerous team there. Is that how you see it? Like if not Seattle, then Niners?
Yeah, I liked their commitment to the offensive line, and not commitment, but they went out and got some good offensive linemen in the draft. I like how they went that route. I'm worried about their wide receiver depth a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I know Ayuk's good and I know Debo's good, but Kittle's obviously just, he's Kittle and he might be a tight end, but he's virtually a receiver.
Yeah.
But with the injury concerns that they had this past year, I'm not saying their whole team's going to go down. It would be uncanny if their entire team goes down again like it did this year. That would just be insanity.
Right.
But yeah, that's something you have to look at. And if just Debo goes down, that's their number one guy. They don't have. I'll still say to this day, them letting Emmanuel Sanders walk after that Super Bowl run was the biggest mistake they could have ever made. And that was someone they needed to re-sign because they just don't have depth at wide receiver. At least good depth.
Right.
It's the top 2 guys, and then where do you go? You go to Kittle because everyone else you can't trust.
No, Debo certainly hasn't been a model of health. He's missed a lot of games. And you make a great point about Manny, and that's something I don't think enough people understand, is regardless of if he's making big plays or not, there's just this way of making quarterbacks and wide receiver groups better everywhere he goes, whether it's been the Steelers, the Broncos, the Niners, or the Saints. As soon as he shows up, he's either making plays for the team or other receivers start to make plays for the team. He all of a sudden makes the entire offense better, even if he's not the focal point. So I do think losing Manny was big for them.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he does in Buffalo this year. That's a really fun addition.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get Jay's team out of the way real quick. Just, so we can put that to bed. I think the Cowboys, look, I like Micah Parsons as a player. There's some character issues I think you have to deal with, and that seemed to be the theme of their draft.
Classic Cowboys.
Yeah, and, from what I was listening to with RJ Ochea, I think it's Ochea. He's from Blogging the Boys. Yeah. He was talking about how the team supposedly wanted to make this commitment to a culture change. And if that's true, they didn't prove it in the draft, because you take Micah Parsons, who has questions. You take Kendall Joseph, who got kicked out of LSU. Still a good DB, but when you get kicked out of LSU, I'm not sure that says anything good. The only offensive lineman they took to provide some depth to guys who went down last year, and Tyron Smith. I don't think he's played a full season in a while. Obviously, Lyle Collins and Zach Martin have been injured. And the only offensive lineman you bring in is Josh Ball, who was accused of date rape or something like that. I mean, I think accused and convicted. So,
I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah, Jesus. So definitely not headed in the right way with that one. Sort of, Nashawn Wright, a guy I never even. Maybe it's my own fault. I thought I studied a lot of guys going into this draft, but I'd never heard of Nashawn Wright before they selected him. I believe in the 3rd round of DB. And then sort of redeemed themselves with Jabril Cox, linebacker out of LSU in the 5th. So, I mean, if you are losing Van Der Esch, and if this is Jalen Smith's last year, it does seem like a good idea to reload with Parsons and Cox. But I just, seemed like they could have used a little more help, a little more depth on the offensive line. Seemed like they could have used, a safety or two. I don't think safety is not their strongest point by any means. But, I do like Trayvon Diggs, the DB they got last year. I think he has a bright future ahead of him, unfortunately, to go with Kendall Joseph. Those could turn out to be very good picks. But I just think it's going to be the same old song and dance, like a team full of talent that just can't, for whatever reason, put it all together. And I like hearing that, for sure. But, Jay, if that gives you any sort of analysis, take it or leave it. But I just think that I didn't walk away from the draft thinking, oh, shit, we got to deal with this class. I was like, I kind of wonder if half these guys are even going to be on the team come camp, if they were going to be in jail or something. So it's just interesting. I would say in our division, the Giants probably had the best draft outside of the Eagles. I like, it seemed like we made them panic moving up for Devonta Smith, because then they did trade out of their spot and still took a receiver in Kadarius Toney, who a lot of people felt like was a reach. And then, still good value, though, to move back, get a position you wanted, and get the extra 1st round from the Bears. The Bears made a great move. I mean, talk about a fan base that went from, 0 to 100. I mean, they're dancing in the streets in Chicago for sure, finally getting the quarterback.
Yeah, I was shocked by that. I was happy for him.
Yeah.
But, man, that was out of nowhere with that. For real. No one, I mean, there was zero talk about it, too. There's a couple, analysts would say, we're expecting a team to move up for a quarterback. Like we're seeing that a couple teams, they would name 6 teams, and they'd be like, one of these guys could move up, but we don't know where. It's just a bunch of they're just blowing smoke up people's ass at that point. They're just kind of we think a team might trade up for a quarterback. I honestly just didn't expect the Bears to make a move like that. With how passive they are usually and dumb they are.
Exactly.
It was shocking. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, really, it just comes down to how dumb they are. I mean, all the dumb moves. And, Jay, I couldn't agree more. I do think, offensive line it's tough, too. In the 1st round, everyone says you need to get a guy who's going to start day one. So when you have 5 guys on the line already who should start above a rookie, then it would be tough to just take a depth piece and have the fan base deal with it. But I do think they could have committed a few more picks to offensive line, even if it wasn't Slater, who would have been hard to hate that pick for Dallas for sure.
I think Slater could have taken over one of those spots. He was a great lineman. Some people had Slater over Sewell, which was asinine, but some people said it. But that's kind of what some people thought his potential was like.
Like the Eagles draft, unfortunately not happy about all these weapons. You're damn right, sir. You are damn right. I'm loving it. I think surprise trade with the Gainwell pick. I'm not. It's hard to trade running backs in this league anymore because there's just so many of them. But I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do something with Miles Sanders, just because I think Gainwell is a good replacement for him. But I was also really surprised to see the Washington, formerly known as the Redskins, currently known as the football team, do nothing at quarterback. I mean, apparently they like what they have in Fitzpatrick and Heineke, and that's going to be a fun little camp battle to watch.
I got no words.
I mean,
I could have swore they were going to be in there for Mac Jones. They just sat there and didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's fine. Whatever. Go for it. It was just kind of weird to me.
Yeah. Overall, an interesting draft for them. I mean, they needed a linebacker, got a linebacker. We were surprised about Forsyth going late in the draft. I was very surprised to see Shaka Toney out of Penn State fall all the way to either the 6th or 7th round for the
Really? Is that really where they got him?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely after the 4th. So
it was an offensive line heavy draft. We all knew that there was a lot of depth at offensive line going into this, but yeah, both Forsyth and him dropping that far.
Yep.
Jeez,
I was super surprised, but yeah, we'll see. I think it's going to bite them in the ass by the end of the year. They're going to want a different QB. I think it's going to be typical hot streak Fitzpatrick, Mr. September, and then December comes around and he cools off. So we'll see what happens with them. But let's talk about the rest
of the. That's when Heineke
team.
takes over. It's all worked out.
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick does his thing until he cools off, and then Heineke comes in and he goes through the playoff run and they win the Super Bowl.
It's closer now.
You think he'll be as effective up there? He's not going to be able to wear his Tommy Bahama shirts anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think he's going to be exciting. Him and McLaurin, I could see them hooking up early and often. But again, I think there's just going to be a cool down period, as it's always been with him. So yeah. We'll see. How about the rest of the first round, though? We talked, weeks, if not months ago, about the Patriots being the perfect landing spot for Mac Jones. I mean, did you see anyone else going to the Patriots when it was 15 and they were ready to make their selection?
Oh, I mean, with Mac Jones still on the board, no, that was. I'm just shocked they didn't have to move for him.
Right.
I thought he was going 3 to the 49ers. Just not because he went to his pro day, not because of anything that we've been told. Just based off my own football analysis, I just thought Mac Jones was built for the 49ers and the kind of offense that they run. Mac Jones ran a pro-style offense at Alabama. It's the same kind of offense that they run it with the 49ers. It just made so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
But they went with a guy with a high ceiling. But I don't know. I was not to go back in time, but yeah, I was just shocked they took Trey Lance, and I thought Mac Jones would have been a better fit. So that's why I said I was kind of happy they took Trey Lance. Go for it. And I'll just wait to see if that ceiling's lower than people think. I'll be happy. And then Mac Jones will be the second coming of Tom Brady for Bill Belichick, and they'll win 7 more Super Bowls. It'll be great. 6 more.
I think Jones is exactly who they wanted. I mean, obviously Belichick and Saban have been so connected over the past couple of years. I mean, Patriots are not shy about taking guys from Alabama, and that's been a big part of their success. But, I think when it comes to the 49ers again, you can't look at your fan base and say, well, if it doesn't work out with Jimmy G, it could work out with a guy who plays exactly like Jimmy G. So that was the only reason I thought it was a good move to go with Lance. Like, he's just a totally different style of player. But yeah, Patriots for sure get their guy in Mac Jones. I like that. I like it's the same type of thing. I mean, just in reverse. You got Cam as the mobile guy, and if it doesn't work out with him, you can go with Mac Jones. And we've seen, Josh McDaniels tailor his offense to a couple different kind of guys. Whether that's been Tim Tebow or Tom Brady or now with Mac Jones or Cam Newton, But let's go back to the Chicago pick that we were so excited about. Is there a world where Andy Dalton starts week 1?
I really haven't given that a lot of thought. The reason I probably haven't given it a lot of thought is because I'd like to say no. Like in my head, my initial response is there's no chance that they would move up to grab Justin Fields and not have him lead the franchise. It just seemed like they were so committed to Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
and they still have Nick Foles, and they can't move on from either one because of the cap hits. Like they're gonna be there,
Right.
but the rookie's gonna come in and just be like, "Screw all y'all, this is my team now." You don't see it very often. As I guess it's like all I'm saying is you don't see it very often. The Seahawks did it with Russell Wilson, so it's not impossible. But it depends on how he plays in the preseason, how he does in camp. I have to wait and see. But my initial response is they know what they are going to get from Nick Foles, which isn't enough. Andy Dalton has not been enough in years. So I would imagine Justin Fields is able to beat them out in camp.
Now, some of them, I mean, quarterbacks is just where it's at. And obviously, we got to talk more quarterbacks because it's the most fun. And I promise I'll let you go soon. You're being super generous with your time.
I'm fine.
Oh, cool. When it comes to Kyle Trask going to the Buccaneers and Kellen Mond going to the Vikings, how did you feel about those picks? Good fits?
I loved Trask to Tampa. That was super cool. And that's the luxury that Tampa Bay had, though, by re-signing everybody.
Yeah.
They virtually had no needs. You know, they obviously, backup quarterback was virtually a need because Tom Brady's, they've talked about extending him, but he's going into his last year of his contract. Whether they extend him or not, 1 year behind Tom Brady will be great for Trask. And if they do move on from him and don't extend him, that franchise should still be in pretty good hands with a Tom Brady developed Trask. Pass heavy, it'll be a good defense behind them still. I still think they need some running back help, but the draft was just depth for the Bucs because of what they did in the offseason.
Right.
So I loved the pick. And with Kellen Mond, I don't know. I watched a lot of Mond this past year, and I just didn't see too much that I liked. I get why people would like him in his mobility.
Yeah.
I just don't see the arm being an NFL talent accuracy. I didn't see it. And I knew he was going to be drafted by someone. Where did he actually end up going in the third round?
Yeah.
Was it this third round? Yeah, third round, second overall. I don't know. I would have preferred the Vikings went a Davis Mills, maybe not Ian Book. I don't know about Ian Book, but Kellen Mond, I just don't see it.
I mean, that's a perfect transition, actually. Talk about a situation you have backed yourself into. If, all signs from what I'm understanding point to Deshaun Watson not playing this year and potentially indefinitely. And now you're walking into the season with a guy in Davis Mills who started something like 11 games, I think.
Talk about a guy that could have benefited from another couple of years at college. We always like to say that about people, he could have stayed another year. Well, God dang, you talk about a guy who should have stayed another year or two. Yeah, Davis Mills, he could have been a first-round draft. We've seen his talent level. We know that he can be good.
Yeah.
But boy, does this guy need help. And it almost looked, they have a couple of quarterbacks over there. I don't remember who the people they brought in for over there, but it just doesn't.
They have Tyrod.
Oh, that's right. Yep. So he'll end up probably being the starter, pending anything with Watson. Watson's not playing. That's stupid.
Which actually could be really good for Davis. He's like the good luck Chuck of quarterbacks. I mean, whoever gets drafted behind Tyrod, usually, whether it's Baker or Josh Allen or Justin Herbert.
When you put it like that, holy shit, this is a great pick. I absolutely love Davis Mills. It's just like, I don't know. I guess in the third round, it's not too big of a risk.
Right.
So I guess go for it. They definitely needed another quarterback. I just don't know. I haven't seen enough. With Kellen Mond, I can say I've watched a lot of Kellen Mond, and I can make an opinion. I don't have too much of an opinion of Mills. I mean, that's kind of rough.
The last guy I'm going to bring up is actually a guy who is going to double as a late round pick who I think could be, maybe not a star, but a solid starter for years to come. And some people hate this guy. I know everyone in Notre Dame should love this guy. And that's Ian Book, the all-time winningest quarterback in Notre Dame history, going to the Saints. And I think it's perfect. I really love.
Yeah.
I mean, Ian Book is a mobile guy. He's a winner. He's played some tough competition. I realize hasn't always worked out, whether that's Georgia or Alabama, just absolutely clobbering them in the playoffs. But I think he's a tough kid. I think he's a smart kid, and I think he could be exactly what Sean Payton's looking for.
It kind of sucks that he got here a year late. I think Ian Book being able to sit behind Drew Brees would have been amazing for his development. Still having Sean Payton is good because Sean is he develops quarterbacks, and Ian Book is virtually a prototype of a Drew Brees kind of style passer.
Yeah.
So it's a great fit. That's for sure. I think he went to the perfect team. You know, if Ian Book would have went to the Texans, I would be saying, you know, lesser nice things. I probably would have been like, he might fizzle out. I don't think he'll have quite the talent around him and the coaching around him to bring him to that next level. This is a good fit for him. I love it. I don't think he starts this year. They have too many other options, you know, between Winston and the punt returner, kick returner, whatever the hell you want to consider him. So I don't think he starts, but it'll be a good year of learning for him. And next year, I think next year will be a good test to see if he can make it on the field.
It's a good point. It would have been nice for him to learn from Brees and Peyton. And, you know, he may not learn to make the right read, but at least watching Jameis, he's going to learn what the wrong read is.
It's like, all right, he's going to be standing next to Sean Payton on the sideline with like a clipboard. Jameis is going on the field, and Sean's just going to lean over and be like, all right, you see what he did there? Just cross that out. Don't do that. All right, you see what he did there? Never, ever do that. All right, got you, coach. It's going to be great.
Well, Dylan, you've certainly been awesome with your time. I've had a ton of, we're already over an hour and 40 in here just talking football. I do know you have at least one other thing going on in your life with Green Man Streaming. So if you would, please give a plug to Green Man Streaming and anything else you've got going on.
Yeah, Green Man Streaming. Green Man Streaming is my streaming platform over on Twitch. It's a lot of fun. We have fun. I just like playing video games. I don't even know why I really started streaming. I guess I was just bored. I don't know.
Would you rather just play video games by yourself or have a few people, you can BS with in the comments?
Oh my gosh, the people I have met through this podcasting and streaming journey has just the people. Oh my God, just like including yourself.
Thanks, Jay. Have a good night, man.
Bye, Jay, and Jay included. The Strikeout Beer guys. I could name a billion people that I've met over this past year. And streaming's been a part of that, and it's been a lot of fun. We've started Streamers Helping Streamers, which is an amazing group. Met even more people through that. If anything else, just I think the only reason I started streaming was I don't want to get too weird, kind of like a calling to do it, just so I could be where I'm at right now with the people I've met. So it's a lot of fun. I think I'm an entertaining streamer. I have a cool little soundboard over here. I do have a lot of funny things over here.
Dude, you need to give TJ a little bit of soundboard 101.
TJ needs help.
Oh yeah, he's having trouble doing an intro song for Just Be a Dad.
Oh, come on, TJ. Come on, just hit me up, TJ. If you're in here, he's probably not in here, but come on, TJ. We'll figure you out. No, it's been great. Green Man streaming on Twitch, a lot of fun.
It's mostly Call of Duty, right?
I've given up on Call of Duty. Call of Duty is dead to me. I've now that Call of Duty is dead, I've actually turned into almost a variety streamer.
Okay.
So recently, I've been really into Rogue Company, so I've been doing a lot of that.
All right.
I wanted to play Valorant until I learned it was keyboard and mouse only, so I can't play Valorant because I suck on keyboard and mouse. I'm going to practice, but I highly doubt I'll actually stream it. I played Dota 2, Dota Underlords, Fortnite a little bit, trying to get into Rocket League a little bit. And then I downloaded a fun game for my past Kingdom Under Fire, the Crusaders. That game came out in like 2004, but they have it on PC, so I downloaded it and I actually play that. I play that a few times. So I find random shit and it's a lot of fun. So I don't like locking myself down to one game because that's not what I do in real life. So that's not what I would want to give the people like that would watch. Just I know there's a lot of streamers out there that would say you have to stick to one game because that's what your audience wants to watch. Well, you gotta be a little bit. Yeah, we'll switch up a little bit. Maybe that's true, and that's why my stream sucks. And I have no followers, but that's besides the point.
Dude, people are like, it's amazing. Just to see how people can take something and run with it. I've watched this one dude who gets in like full demon makeup. He's like got red and black makeup and horns and everything, and he uses like the voice changer. And there's this one kid who like somehow made himself an animal emoji, like it's a husky sitting there with a headset on.
Oh yeah, Nico.
Yeah, Nico, like it's just unbelievable.
True North does that too now too, I think.
It's just crazy, man.
Yeah. There's a lot of great people out there, streamers I love watching, and they're just all over the place, especially these days. And yeah, it's a great journey, and I love watching all of them, especially Nico, I don't know.
Right.
He just got Facebook partner too. That was great. He has a great community over there. I love his stream.
He's a lot of fun for sure. He doesn't take it too seriously. He's about the comments, and I mean you mentioned streamers helping streamers, and just it's really refreshing in a world of such like poison and vitriol and division that we can come together in something like video games and all have fun. And I mean, the Strikeout guys are super, and you know, obviously not just them, Ryan Francis and TJ and Nate and all those guys are just, whoever I missed, Jay, obviously, whoever I missed, I didn't mean to, but just so super supportive and constantly sharing our stuff. And it's just an awesome community, like you said. Even if you're not a good video game player, just to be a part of the streaming community, the podcast community has been nothing but positive for me, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I could name like 100 people probably. Just the people I've met, especially like Ryan. I think Ryan really is the one who spearheaded Streamers Helping Streamers, because this is what he wanted to do, and he said he would stop streaming to take care of Streamers Helping Streamers more if he had to, just because he loves the base, like the model that we've created with it, which just speaks volumes to him, because that's what he loves to do. He tells me all the time he just loves helping people. So if that gives you any idea of what the group is about, it's led by a guy who just thrives off of helping people, and that's what it is.
No doubt. I mean, he's always tagging me in new streamer stuff, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the group's been amazing. It's gotten a lot bigger than I ever would have thought it would have been. Like the amount of actually active members that we have, because we kick people. We just kicked like 60 people out of our Discord because they were inactive. We don't need to be a big channel. And then earlier, like a month ago, we kicked probably about the same number, 60 people out of the Facebook group for being inactive. I mean, we don't care about being a big group. I would rather have 100 active members, and then instead of like 1,000 members, but only, 50 are active, and then the other ones are just sitting there. I don't care about numbers. I want the people that want to be there and live the message.
No, it's a good point. I couldn't agree more, for sure. I mean, what's the point of just having people not there?
Yeah, because that's what some people do. They'll just join a group and just be there, and they'll share their stream, and they won't actually help. They'll just hope they be helped. Yeah. And those are the first people that get kicked out of our group, is the people that just don't want to help. They're just there. We don't need you. We don't need you taking up space.
That's right. It's called streamers helping streamers, people. You got to help. You got to do your part. Hey, man. Thanks a ton. Again, you've been awesome. You came in on short notice. I really appreciate it. Anytime you want to have a conversation, even if it's not a podcast, I love talking some football with you guys.
I could talk football literally whenever. So you let me know, man, whenever you want to chat again. And then also on and off the field, we'll have you on anytime. Absolutely.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And you have a good night.
You too, brother.
See ya.